After I lost my job and I asked my stepmom for help, she just laughed on me and told me what a loser I am, until I reminded her whose house she's currently living in rent-free. I never thought I would share my story here, but life is full of surprises, and this is at least a throwaway account. I just need to vent my frustrations, anger, and disappointment. I know it's a bit long, but believe me, it's definitely worth the read, especially if you're dealing with a stepmother who's just plain manipulative and toxic. Alright, let me give you guys some context for my situation so that you don't get confused. I work for a big magazine company, and that is why I can fund the luxurious lifestyle I live. I've always wanted to live comfortably, and that is why I work so hard. My father instilled the hard-working trait in me. He's also a hard worker. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, my father ended up losing his job. I also have a stepmother with whom I have an on and off relationship. You would think that because my father is out of a job, my wife, my amazing stepmom, would step up, but unfortunately that is not the case. My stepmom has always been a housewife, and it was my father who told her that she could be one because his job was paying more than enough. Well, in this case, it is my father's fault for believing that she shouldn't work, but enough about that. So, since my father is now out of work, I volunteered to help them out financially until my father is able to get another job, or until he's able to get access to his pension fund. They're currently living in a small apartment close to where I stay, and I pay for their rent for them while also helping them out with groceries and other necessities. I then managed to get my stepmom a personal assistant position at the company I work for. She's been working there for just over a month, and it seems like she's settled in really well. I'm just glad that we don't work in the same department, meaning that we don't have to see each other every day. I mean, it's bad enough that I have to see her every Sunday for family dinner, a tradition that my father started a few months ago. Anyway, on to today. I'm at work, busy writing an article on my laptop, when my friend and colleague Jane walks in. She greets me, and I greet her back with a smile. She takes a seat opposite me, and we begin discussing our articles. After 30 minutes, there was a knock on my door. My stepmom walks in with a huge smile, which is a bit odd because she hardly smiles. She greets us and we greet her back. There's an awkward silence. I ask her if she needs anything, and she shakes her head. She tells me that she would love for us to go out for lunch. I raised my eyebrows. She proceeds to say that ever since she started working here, we've never had lunch together. This is true, but it's not like we have a close relationship. I mean, why would we eat lunch together at work if we don't even go out for lunch during our free time? I agreed to go out for lunch with her, and she told me that I would find her outside by the entrance. She just needed to fetch her handbag. As soon as she leaves, Jane asks me if there's anything that I forgot to tell her. I shake my head and tell her no. I start packing up the things on my desk. I notice Jane staring at me and ask her what's wrong. She asks me if I don't find it weird that my stepmom wants to have lunch with me. I tell her that it is weird, but there must be an important reason as to why she's invited me out to lunch. She tells me to keep my guard up and to be careful because she doesn't trust my stepmom. I understand Jane's concern. My stepmother isn't the nicest person. She has this awful mean streak. She's always been mean and rude towards me, my friends, or anyone close to me. But I've never taken it to heart because I've always accepted her for who she is, a mean-spirited person. I take my handbag and hug Jane goodbye. She tells me to text her when I'm back from lunch. I walk out of my office and find my stepmother already by the entrance looking extremely excited. We head out and decide to have lunch at a nearby restaurant. We place our orders and proceed to have small talk, which makes the things between us less awkward. Our drinks arrive and I take a sip of my lemonade. My stepmom slightly coughs and tells me that there's a reason why she invited me out for lunch. I told her that I figured there was a reason for her inviting me out. She tells me that she wanted to personally thank me for getting her this job. Wow, I'm so shocked. My stepmom has never thanked me for anything. Even when I offered to help her and my father out financially, it was only my father who thanked me. So her thanking me for this job is something I never expected. I tell her that she's welcome. She then proceeds to tell me that she wants to work on our relationship. I almost choked on my lemonade. Clearly, today I was receiving unexpected news from my stepmother. She tells me that she knows she hasn't always treated me nicely and that she hasn't been the best mother figure to me. This touches my heart because my biological mother passed away when I was very young, and I can barely remember her. It took my father a long time to move on, and he met my stepmom when I left for college, so I never really had a mother figure while growing up. When I found out that my father was finally dating, I thought that I would get the mother figure I'd always wanted and needed, but unfortunately, my stepmom wasn't interested in being a mother figure to me, and it took me a long time to accept that, so hearing her actually admit it was kind of comforting. She then proceeds to explain to me why she's never played the mother figure towards me. She says that the reason is because she never felt that motherly instinct in her, hence why she never had children of her own. She also brings up the fact that she had a very traumatic childhood, which I wasn't aware of. My heart begins to soften towards her. I really didn't know this about her, and now everything makes sense. This definitely explains why she has such a mean streak and icy exterior. She continues to tell me more about her life, and once we're done with the lunch, we both agree that we'll work on our relationship. This honesty warms my heart because I've always wanted a close relationship with my stepmom, and even though I'd given up on the idea, it makes me happy to know that she's now willing to work on our relationship. I know this will also make my father happy because he's always complained about me and stepmom never spending time together, or the fact that we don't get along. We head back to the office and I text Jane that I'm back for lunch. I decided not to tell her that I and my stepmom would be working on our relationship because I knew she would have something negative to say, and honestly, I just want to give my relationship with my stepmom a fair chance. I mean, everyone deserves a fair chance, right? Update 1. Currently, my life has been a real roller coaster. It feels like everything is falling apart, and I wonder if I will even be able to fix it. A few weeks have passed since I had the lunch date with my stepmom, and so far things have been going well between us. We decided that we weren't going to rush it and just take things slow. I'm in my office, busy proofreading one of my articles when my supervisor walks in. He greets me and I greet him back. He looks very agitated, which is weird because he's normally always in a jolly mood. I ask him if everything is okay and he raises his eyebrow. He sits down opposite me and I can tell that he's really mad. He stares at me for a while and then shakes his head in disappointment. He proceeds to tell me that he's very disappointed in me and he can't believe that his top journalist would pull such a stunt. I give him a confused look and tell him that I'm confused. He tells me to stop playing dumb because this is just making the whole situation worse. I really do not know what he's talking about, and it really seems to be bothering him. He puts a bunch of documents on my desk. I pick them up and quickly scan through them. It looks like there was a big meeting that took place last weekend. It was a meeting for all the journalists here at the company, and it was compulsory for everyone to attend it. I never received an email about this meeting. I wasn't even told about it. My supervisor proceeded to tell me that this meeting was very important, and the fact that I didn't even show up for it just shows how unprofessional I am and how comfortable I've become. I told him that I had no idea that a meeting was taking place last weekend. I also told him that I would never miss a mandatory meeting. He then says, but I did miss an important compulsory meeting, and the fact that I can't take accountability or even admit my mistakes just shows that I do not take this job seriously. I tell him that it's not true and that I've always taken this job seriously, especially since I got promoted recently. He tells me that clearly promoting me was a mistake and he should never have promoted me. I gasped in shock and tried my best not to let my anger get the best of me. I can't believe he's saying all of these things, all because I missed one meeting. I've been working here for 5 years and I've never missed a meeting, a presentation, or even a deadline. I missed one meeting that I wasn't even aware of or had any knowledge of, and now my professionalism is being questioned. With a straight face, he tells me that I will no longer be working here and that I'm being fired. The hairs on the back of my neck stand up as he says these words. I can feel the tears in my eyes, but I try my hardest not to cry. I told him that he wasn't being fair, especially because I wasn't informed about this meeting. He tells me that he has evidence that proves I was informed about the meeting. He stands up and tells me that if I'm not out of this building in the next 10 minutes, he will call security to escort me out. He walks out and I immediately start packing up my stuff. I'm trying my best not to break down, but it's hard. I just got fired and my supervisor didn't even give me the chance to explain myself or prove my innocence. He just flat out fired me. I've given this company 5 years of my best work and this is how I get treated. I take my stuff and head to my car. As soon as I enter my car, I break down in tears. I can't believe I just lost my job over something that could easily have been resolved. How am I going to continue helping my father? I mean, I do have my savings, but I wanted to use my savings to finally buy myself a new luxury car, but it looks like I won't be getting that car anytime soon. What am I going to do? I drive myself home, and when I get home, I continue crying. Update 2. Yeah, I guess I had to learn this lesson the hard way. I don't know why I had such high hopes for this. I should never have let my guard down, but this clearly shows that you can't trust everyone. especially because some people will only tell you what you want to hear instead of actually saying what they say. It's been a week since I was fired from my job. The only person who's checked up on me is Jane, who immediately came to see me when she heard the news. My stepmom hasn't called, texted, or even come to see me, and the fact that Jane knows I got fired means that my stepmom also knows. I'm hurt that my stepmom or even my father hasn't come to see me and make sure I'm doing okay. I mean, losing my job means that I can't help them out anymore, but at least my stepmom has a job. I head over to my father and stepmother's place. I knock on the door and my stepmom answers. I give her a little smile and she slightly rolls her eyes, which I find weird. We head over to the living room and sit down. Before I say anything, she tells me that my father isn't around and she doesn't know when he'll be back. I tell her that I'm not here to see him, but that I'm here to see her. She asks me why I'm here to see her. I raise my eyebrow because I'm confused by her attitude. I mean, isn't she the one who said she wants us to work on our relationship? I tell her that I just find it weird that she hasn't come to see me since I got fired. She smiles slyly and shakes her head. I continue to tell her that I really needed her and she wasn't there for me, and I didn't understand why because I thought we'd agreed to work on our relationship. She starts to laugh, and in between laughs she tells me that I'm such a joke. I glare at her and ask her what the hell she means. She tells me that it's my own fault that I got fired and I should stop looking for pity because I won't get any from her. I tell her that I'm not looking for pity and I can't believe what she's saying. She smirks and continues to say that I should have taken my job seriously. She continues to say that not everyone is going to spoil me like my father does, and I need to grow up and stop being such an entitled, spoiled brat. I am shocked by what I'm hearing right now. Is this the same woman who confided in me a few weeks ago and is now switching up on me? I can't believe that I actually believed that she wanted a real relationship with me. Clearly, she was just lying and had her own agenda. I can't believe I was stupid enough to fall for her fake performance. I calm myself down and decide that I will not stoop down to her level. I tell her that it's funny that she's calling me an entitled, spoilt brat, yet she is staying in a house that I pay rent for. She gives me an evil glare and I can tell that mentioning the rent matter has shaken her up. I tell her that I definitely will not be bothering her again and head out. A few days have passed since I went to see my stepmother. I'm busy searching and applying for jobs when there's a knock at the door. I answer and it's Jane. She tells me that she has really disturbing news to tell me. I tell her to come in and we sit down outside on my patio. Jane starts by saying she doesn't know how to tell me because she saw how happy I have been since I had lunch with my stepmom. I tell her that the relationship between me and my stepmother is non-existent. She sighs with relief and says that that makes things easier. She proceeded to tell me that the reason I got fired from work was because of my stepmother. I look at her and ask how. She continued to tell me that my stepmom was supposed to email me the details regarding the meeting because it was organised by my stepmom's boss. I ask her how she knows this. She tells me that my stepmom's boss brought it up in a meeting that took place yesterday and that she pulled Jane aside to ask her why I'd missed the meeting. Wow, this lady is evil. So I get her a job and this is how she repays me? By getting me fired from a job she knows very well that I love and have worked very hard for it. So basically, she sent everyone the email except me. But why wasn't my supervisor informed about this? Or why wasn't I allowed to explain my side of the story? Jane takes a deep breath. She tells me that everyone at the office finds it weird and strange how I was fired. Even HR wasn't informed about me being fired until the next day, meaning that my supervisor fired me unprofessionally and didn't follow the correct protocol. Damn, I knew my supervisor was being unfair. So he called me unprofessional, yet he was being the unprofessional one. Jane tells me that this isn't all she found out. I look at her and ask what else she found out. She tells me that a few days ago she was working at the office very late and she wanted to ask my supervisor something about the article she was working on. But when she got into his office, she saw him and my stepmom making out. I gasped in shock and told her to stop lying. She tells me that she would never lie to me, especially about something this big. So not only did this witch get me fired, but she was also cheating on my father with my supervisor. That means they were working together, which means he was well aware that my stepmother didn't send me that email, yet he still fired me. I just need to figure out how I can prove all of this. I'm going to take this lady down. Update 3. Sometimes you have to hurt the ones you love in order to protect them. 2 weeks have passed since Jane told me about my stepmother and her evil doings. We've spent the last week obtaining evidence to prove that I was unfairly dismissed and that my former supervisor is or was having an affair with my stepmother. I don't know where I would be without Jane. She's helped me so much and I can't thank her enough. Jane managed to help me schedule a meeting with the CEO, the human resources manager, my stepmom's boss, and my supervisor. I step into the boardroom and everyone is already seated. My attorney takes a seat also. I hired him just in case. Immediately, my supervisor asked, "What are they doing here?" I tell him to please relax and that everything will be revealed soon. On cue, my stepmother walks in, and I see how my supervisor's face immediately changes. My stepmom also looks at me confused. I thank her for joining us and ask that she please take a seat. I started explaining to everyone that the reason I called for this meeting was because I wanted to prove my innocence and also prove that I was unfairly dismissed. I take out some documents and give them to everyone. I tell them that these documents clearly show that I was never emailed the details about the meeting that took place a few weeks ago, and I add that Maria, my stepmom, never once informed me about the meeting, even though she had multiple chances to. The CEO nods his head in agreement. My stepmom's boss looks over at my stepmom and asks her, why didn't she email me the details about the meeting, and why did she lie when she was asked if she sent me the details? My stepmom freezes and stutters, saying that she didn't know that she hadn't sent me the email. Her boss then asks her again, why did she lie? Because when she had asked about the email, she told her that she'd sent me the email and that I was lying about not receiving it. My stepmom was unable to answer the question, but then her boss proceeded to ask my supervisor why he fired me without any evidence proving that I'd intentionally missed the meeting. He tries to explain, but unfortunately, no one believes what he's saying. The HR manager proceeded to say that my supervisor fired me unprofessionally and that he had no right to fire me. I then spoke up and told them that I thought I knew the reason why my supervisor fired me. They all look at me. I took out more documents. Once my stepmom looked at the document, she immediately threw the paper and started yelling insults at me. She calls me an entitled pig and continues to tell me that I'm such a spoilt brat. She wishes that my father could see what an evil person I am. She continues to say that no one will ever marry me because I always run to my father for everything, and that I'm the reason why her marriage to my father is falling apart. She stands up and attempts to slap me, but luckily my attorney stands in front of her and holds her back. The CEO takes out his phone and security is called up to the boardroom. My stepmom's boss shakes her head and tells my stepmom that she's disgusted by her behaviour. She then looks over at my supervisor and tells him that she can't believe he would risk his career and top management position like this. She adds that she's disappointed in him. My stepmom was still yelling insults at me until security finally arrived and escorted her out of the building. The CEO says that my stepmother will not be working here and that she's been fired with immediate effect. I bet you're wondering what was on the document. Here's the thing about using company's property and not logging out of your personal emails. You can't use a public computer and not log out, because the next person will be able to have access to all your personal chats, and that is something that we've been warned about. Since Jane had access to all offices in the building, she went up to my stepmom's boss's floor, and since by the reception where my stepmom works there is a computer, we took a wild guess that she was most likely chatting with my supervisor through social media. It was a wild guess, and we knew that we would find nothing, but luckily we found chats between her and my supervisor on Facebook, which she hadn't logged out of. This is understandable because she's the only one who uses that computer, so she probably never expected anyone to touch it. Her mistake was our gain. Even though I felt guilty at first, I am the type of person who respects people's privacy, but this had to be done. Update 4. It's been a month since I exposed my stepmother and supervisor's wrongdoings. They were both fired with immediate effect, which was unfortunate, but they truly deserved it. It's just sad that my supervisor risked his whole career for my stepmom. I thought he and I had a good working relationship, yet he fired me with no hesitation, all to help my stepmom. My stepmom eventually admitted that the reason she tried to sabotage me was because she was tired of me always getting what I wanted, and she hated the relationship I had with my father. She felt that my father always chose me over her, and she hated that. Unfortunately, I no longer have a relationship with my father because he told me to my face that he didn't see anything wrong with what my stepmother did. He feels that I should just forgive my stepmother and move on. I won't lie, I was shocked by his reaction to the whole situation. I genuinely thought he would be on my side, but I guess my stepmom has her claws in so deep that he sees no wrong in anything she does. He even forgave her for cheating on him, claiming that he understands why she cheated. He says it's because he's been neglecting her needs. Yeah, you can imagine my reaction after I heard that. And because of that, I'm no longer assisting my father financially. I haven't seen or spoken to him for a month now. The good news is that I got my job back. Well, I was promoted to supervisor. So I took over my former supervisor's position. This revenge was bittersweet. I mean, my stepmom and supervisor got punished for their wrongdoings, and I'm glad that I was able to expose them, but now I've lost my relationship with my father, and I don't know if he and I will ever be able to fix things. I guess revenge doesn't always come out exactly how you want it to. So, what do we think about this one, guys? I was really surprised by the father's reaction in the end, taking the stepmother's side over OP's. I can't believe he would just forgive her like that after she cheated on him and got his daughter fired. I think OP was really lucky to have a friend like Jane who helped her in that tough time and had her back when everyone else was against her. Do you think OP and her father will ever be able to make up? I do hope so, because it sounds like they had a really good relationship before all this. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you again next time.